All right, we got to get into the origins of conspiracy theory. So, in my humble researched opinion, it goes back mostly to JFK. Yes, people had used the term conspiracy theorist before 1963, 64, but specifically in those years after the assassination of JFK, it was weaponized by the media as a derogatory term for anybody who was questioning the narrative about how JFK was killed. And I think it's pretty clear at this point. People can research it if you don't believe me. There were hearings by, I believe, Frank Church in the 70s, who was a senator, and they're known as the Church Committee hearings. And you can look it up if you want to call BS. But I think even George H. Bush at the time, H.W. Bush, Herbert Walker Bush. Yes.
He's the first one.
The first one. Yeah. He was head of the CIA, and he was the one that came out and said, and they were questioned and said, yes, absolutely. We were paying people at major media outlets to write stories that were favorable to the CIA and the government in general since like 48. So at least into the mid 70s. And there's you can look up, there's an interview with the head of CBS back in, I think, 76. Mm-hmm. And he's admitting it. He's saying, yeah, Walter Cronkite, all these guys, they were all working for the CIA. And, they asked him, do you think that program's still going on? And he said, yeah, probably. And if you listen to in the show notes, I'll put James Corbett's episode on media and the CIA. But it's interesting what's happening now, because who was the guy? Like, there's been this like sneaky evolution of how this Operation Mockingbird is gone. And there's people today that would say, okay, the government would say it stopped in the 70s. That was the end of it. I don't buy that. I don't know if you buy that, but
that's a little bit like when you get caught doing something, your parents catch you and you go, that's the first time I ever did that.
Yeah. I don't even know how it happened.
I'll never do it again.
Promise.
Yeah.
And then you get sneakier about how you're going to do it. Of course. And that is what they did. And I think now you have, I think it's John Brennan, former CIA director, who's just a commentator on MSNBC. So now it's transitioned to like, well, now we just ask them to host the shows. Man. And you're like, well, aren't they a little biased if they're like in the agency and you're asking them like questions about the agency? And I think that we're in a weird world now where people believe that. I don't believe it. I'm surprised that other people do, that they don't think that's a conflict.
Yeah. Sure. No, this is a person that, and this is the first I've even heard about this.
I think it's Brennan, wasn't he former CIA?
I don't know, director? But it is interesting that we can watch someone that we know has spent their whole career being trained how to frame a narrative, and
that's what they do,
and get other people around them to think what they want them to think. And then we think, well, he's going to be completely transparent with me.
And I'll say, as a patriot, there's times where that's what they're supposed to do. I'm not saying that they're not supposed to be spies. They are supposed to be spies. Just want them spying for us, not on us.
Yeah.
And I think there has been a little both.
Yeah, that's tricky though.